We need to talk about the fact that so many women love men more than they love themselves.
One thing I feel like that is still dragging some women behind is denial, lying to ourselves and trying to feel like some people still don't believe that women were conditioned to like men, women are conditioned to want to marry, to want to always be in a relationship, to want to always fight for a man. Some people don't see that. Some people see it as a normal thing, like you're supposed to want to be in a relationship. Yes, you're supposed to want to be in a relationship, but not the way women are always fighting for a relationship. You see a woman will stop her life just because she wants to be in a relationship. You see a woman fighting another woman just because she wants to have that man. You see a woman actually going extra mile to honor life or to, do something to the other woman just because she wants to be the only woman in the situation. So the kind of desperation that is in women when it comes to having men is too much.
I'd like to take a moment to talk to women. And if you are a woman that's listening, I'd like to speak to the most honest and regulated part of you. If we could take the defensive, fearful, avoidant pieces and just set them aside, give them a little puzzle or a crossword to futz with while we have a chat. What I'm about to say is going to be hard to hear, but I think we need to have this conversation and we need to have a moment of authentic and meaningful introspection. So many people are wondering what to do right now, and rightfully so. Our brains are pinging between mutual aid efforts and how to make sure people stay connected to abortion rights and how to cope realizing husbands, friends, brothers, community members let us down in such a fundamental way. But regardless of who you voted for and why, there's a conversation that I think needs to be had with women, among women, and with women themselves internally. We need to talk about the fact that so many women love men more than they love themselves. They love men more than they love their children, their daughters, their friends, their community members. And if that sounds like you, hold on. Don't run. Don't scroll. I'm not here to shame you. Something I say all the time is that in the same way folks didn't consent to their privilege, people didn't consent to their oppression. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a responsibility to interrogate and antagonize the ways that we've internalized patriarchy. And what that looks like and means on a very simple and basic level is looking inward and examining the ways in which we privilege and prioritize men and patriarchal value above our well-being and the well-being of other women. We need to get comfortable being uncomfortable with the ways that for some reason, for whatever reason, the attention of a mediocre, unimpressive man will be higher value to us than the attention of women or queer folk in our community or around us. Why the praise or the validation or the approval hits so different than the approval of femmes and women in our life. I say we because this is work that I have had to do in my journey of decentering men over the course of my life. So many people talk about decentering men as a matching of energy or almost as a get back scheme, a revenge plot, or use the concept of decentering men as a way to gain access to men in general. If I withdraw my attention, if I match energy, that's some way for me to be able to get him to focus on me, pay attention to me, shine the light of his attention, admiration, or interest back my way. Or as a means to turn the table, to make that man or men in general feel as small, disregarded, and unimportant as they've made you feel. You have to understand that the center of that narrative is still a man. And the supporting actor, the person chasing the flapping coattails of the attention, the validation, the respect, is you. We need to look long and hard at the ways that we have sold out other women, our own dreams and ambitions, our health, our bodies, our safety, our dignity, and our integrity as a result of this social conditioning, and work to do the incredibly challenging and rewarding and enriching repair of reclaiming our narrative through deconstructing those belief systems. I'm a firm believer that the how and why of something is much more important than the what of something most of the time. So it concerns me to hear talk of 4B movement this and smegdual activity strike that without any meaningful internal work around the ways that our lives, thoughts, and even inner worlds center around and focus around a male gaze. That there's an invisible man that was installed in our head since birth that watches and judges our every move, that we also find ourselves constantly seeking approval from. There needs to be a time and a reckoning to sit with the grief and the loss of that, the loss of life, of friendship, of energy, of opportunities. There needs to be honesty in what we have done in service of this narrative, that being an appendage to a man or obtaining the approval of the man, whether it's a boyfriend, a partner, a father, a colleague, is somehow the penultimate achievement or indicator of our worth. And we need to rip that belief system out by the root and plant something else. Plant something that centers us as autonomous human beings with a fully complex and existing first-person narrative outside of what we can glean in terms of the dregs of approval or validation from a patriarch or a patriarchal system. We need to get brave enough to betray the trappings and the false privileges that this system offers. We need to betray desirability and attractiveness, betray values of competition and scarcity between us and other women, and grieve the loss of a sense of self so that we can build a new one. If any of this at all resonates with you, I want you to know that you're not alone. You're not in any way strange, bad, or a failure. But what will make you a failure not only to yourself, but to other women and to the safety of your community is if you refuse to call what you already know into your awareness. If you refuse to take a good hard look at who you are and what you have become as a result of what you have internalized, and make commitments to reclaim yourself, reclaim your narrative, and show up better for yourself and others, then you have chosen self-betrayal. And I will tell you one thing from experience. It is never too late to return to yourself. It is never too late to arrive to yourself. But the longer you wait, the longer you stay in a perpetual cycle of self-betrayal, the more expensive and costly it is.
I saw this amazing video. I'm going to tag it there. Go watch the whole thing. But she says, amongst amazing things that she says that it's almost like we have an invisible man in our heads installed since birth. And as someone who is really into the work of narcissistic parents and dismantling patriarchy and finding our authenticity, I think that voice is first instilled from our fathers, from our non-approving, patriarchal, probably narcissistic fathers who we're never good enough for or want us to perform a certain way so that we are going to be the good girl that he wants us to be. Fragile, wanting him to tell us what to do next, wanting him to take control of our own lives. And that comes into conjunction with then the fabricated God, which was made by using the copy of the image of man in just a more crazy, strong way. It wasn't like man was not made to the image of God. God was made to the image of man because man created him. And then he's also someone we are never going to be good enough for. And we have to be a certain way. And we have to do certain things. And we have to not do other things. And we have to be patient, tolerant, in service. The good girl conditioning has been ingrained and given to us and put into our heads since a very, very young age by our fathers, by the religious institutions, by our societies, and by our mothers, who are probably also the Trojan horse that carried us through this conditioning as if this is the way to be, because she also wanted to be approved and accepted by men because she never found her worth outside of it. She just followed suit. And with the close access that she had to us, that's why she's a Trojan horse, and women will always be patriarchy's Trojan horse. She was able to instill in us that we have to be a good girl if we want to be loved. Even though we were seeing her be a good woman and not be loved, it didn't matter. We were shown how to be from a very young age. I have to go now because they're doing constructions outside my house, and it's going to get very loud. Go watch that video.
Talking about decentering men is not just for us to decenter men just for a particular period. It's something that has to go on. And it's not decentering men just because you want men to change. It's not, most of them will not change, right? It's to be a whole shift for women. I think the quote of a man living, an invisible man living in a woman's head It's from a book, but I don't remember the name of the book. Even people in the comment section were actually asking. If you do, can you put that in the comment section for other people to go check it out? So that's men have been conditioned to always want to be with a man. That is why you see a woman, even she's almost, dying in that marriage, she's going to stay there. And even if she wants to leave, you see people telling her, no man will take you because you have kids. Why does woman life have to be around men? Like, why do they always want us to always do things for men? If you make a hairstyle, they tell you men don't like this kind of hairstyle. You do makeup, they say men don't like makeup. Men like this. A certain kind of men do not like this kind of clothing. They like everything. They just want women to do is to center everything around men. I feel like the century men is going to be very hard because this is something that's been instilled in women from birth. So it is a journey. So if you're starting to decenter men, it is not something you just start today and it has an end. It is a journey, it's a continuous thing. So it's something that you keep doing. Once you find yourself centering yourself around them again, it's something you just have to click and just stop doing it and just center yourself. That is the most important thing. What is your take on this video? It's a short clip I decided to share with you all today, and thank you all so much for tuning in. Check out Maria Davids, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video.